So Eric.
Sarah Bacchus. Carrie Horton.
Here.
Kenny Morlett. Johnny Marford. Dave Moore. Here.
All right, approval agenda.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed? Community forum. Nothing. All right, approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of bills for payment.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, financial report, $4,386,917.01.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor.
Aye.
All right, recognition of students of the month.
Come on up here, Cody.
Front center.
Come here.
The whole group.
Cody Mahler. Seventh grader is nominated by Mrs. Edwards as reading teacher. So congratulations, Cody.
Thank God. Administrative reports, starting off with Brandon.
Okay, just a couple of things. One, the wrestling room, coming along pretty nice. We've been taking a quick tour of it the last, every 2 weeks for the last, month or so. They're starting to get into some of the finer details of like paint color and trophy cases and so on and so forth at this point. But it looks like to me that, they're on or ahead of schedule, so that's good. Spring sports obviously in full swing. I sat here and wrote this last week and wrote in there that the weather is, getting better and it's nicer outside, and we were able to have 2 track meets last week, and then here we are this week with terrible weather. A little windy at the golf course today, but you know what? They got it in, and the weather's supposed to improve over the next few days as well. So hopefully that continues. I just want to give special recognition to winter sports. We had 33 academic all-conference winners. In order to get that award, they have to be a varsity letter winner and have a 3.5 GPA or higher. So that was for the third quarter. So 33, that's pretty good for the teams that we had going here. So we got boys and girls basketball, boys and girls wrestling, and wrestling cheer. That's the teams that are recognized for that. A little bit of a kind of a cool thing that's going to happen. It wasn't in the original notes I gave you. Baseball will officially play a game at the Field of Dreams on 5/21 versus Burlington Notre Dame. They'll play varsity and JV against Burlington Notre Dame. So my understanding is that admission for that game for spectators is free. So if you get a chance to go up and watch, I think it'll be a neat experience. I don't know exactly which field they're playing on up there, but nonetheless, it's at the Field of Dreams, and I think that's a cool experience. So good for our kids.
What's that day?
5/21. On our original event schedule and stuff, you'll see on there it says like Wapello versus Notre Dame because it was supposed to be here, but then in parentheses I put Field of Dreams so people hopefully understand that it's not here. I think Mr. Horton's been doing a really good job. He's got some kids working on some flyers, and I've been posting those occasionally here and there as they get them in. And he's got one put together for that event, so we'll get one of those out as well. And we'll probably post it multiple times. Some of the bigger events I don't post one time. We try to post them 3 or 4 or 5 times so that people get an opportunity to see it. It's a Tuesday night. It's kind of a long ride for Tuesday night, but again, it's one of those things you don't pass up the opportunity when you have a chance to do something like that. So, last but not least, I do have one hire that head coach that I put in this month, and the rest of the coaches for winter sports won't come to you until the next board meeting. But I did put Trenton on this month's because I would like him to get hired so he can have a meeting with the girls before school gets out and get everything organized for the summer and going ahead till next year. So that's why you'll see him appear on your agenda tonight. as opposed to in May.
I'm gonna go reverse.
Come on here, Isaiah. Another student of the month, Isaiah Engel. Isaiah is a junior, and he was nominated by Miss Boston. So congratulations, Isaiah.
All right, so any questions for Brandon? Sarah, do you have questions for Brandon at all? Okay. Moving on to Rob.
Okay. I finally received one bid for a football complex restroom remodel project of $9,400 for Stuart and Belzer construction. We have discussed me doing this. Again, my position's removed. You guys may need to look into hiring for this project to be done. Another bid I just received was for Minish HVAC to service our HVAC systems, filters and belts for $3,375. That is for the spring service, so it'll also need to be done in the fall. So the total cost for the year is $6,050. That is something that also is typically my project to do. I received two quotes, one from Odessa Mechanical and one from Minnis Heating and Cooling to install the 5 units in the elementary building. Finally got some movement on that. You guys should have those quotes there. We are eager to hear what you guys have to say on those. The elementary AC electrical system update, I don't have any kind of update on that. Nobody's really gotten back to me. The only thing both electricians did mention is that the new blacktop back part would have to be torn up to run a new line to the building. Just so you guys are aware that it will be part of that project. And then the boilers will be torn down next month for the summer. Just to be ready for the summer, all the boilers in both buildings are off as of right now, and they will not turn back on. That's all I have for my reports.
Rob, going back up to your top one, you and I talked about still you being able to get that project done
Right, yep.
in the amount,
Yeah, but I already said, we
Okay.
already submitted this before we had that discussion.
Yep, exactly.
And I think a couple, you might have been looking for those bids. The reason you don't have them,
You say on his house.
they were well in excess of what we have available in ESSER money, so, that's why, I only have, I believe, one of the two, but it was well in excess of what we have available.
We talked about that last time.
Yeah.
Who was saying we have to go through the new blacktop? I mean,
I talked with Schwab Electrical at Columbus and Master Electrical here. They came in, they did a brief, look at the electrical system, nothing too complex yet. Both of them are telling me that eventually you're gonna have to hire an electrical engineer to come in, kind of the stuff we've already known. We want somebody to come in and kind of just do a base, kind of give us a ballpark of what needs to be done. But they're both saying just the line into the building isn't big enough to support what we are needing, just to run the amperage to run if we were to put AC units in, right now.
Did they say if underground boring was an option, so you'd have to tear that blacktop up?
They didn't tell me, they didn't say. The pole that they were talking about is the pole in the line ran right now, is right outside the back of the window, which is right next to the blacktop.
You might have to tear some of it.
Yeah, we're not talking about the whole back of it or anything, but there will be a section that has to be torn up. In their opinion, so I just want to make sure.
So you have a bid in here for a Minnis for the $33.75 for the HVAC systems.
Yes,
You said that was for the spring.
that is just for the spring.
So will you be doing that this spring?
I'm sure. Yes.
if it's a job that you typically do, I would think you would be able to do it yet this spring.
Did we ever get anything on the elementary? As far as the servicing, I mean, I think on Menace's, I think it was just the high school, wasn't it? Or-
That's the only thing I.
Right.
I mean, looking at it, to me, it was just the high school.
Yeah,
That's what
that is
I
just
was
what
talking
I
about.
didn't get.
Right.
I
Did you
know
have
we
a
have some
chance to
units there
finish?
too.
Did you have a chance to finish looking through minutes?
I have,
today?
yeah, I have some notes.
Okay,
on
so
some of
just,
those too. So, yeah, but
we'll get
I
together.
that was one of the things we need to look at, because we do have some stuff over there that's probably gonna need to be done, especially that new kitchen unit.
Mhm.
It's gonna get dirty every week. I think we can have Kyle probably keeping an eye on that actually, or he should be.
Right.
Because that's not something that we're gonna be able to just have somebody come in and do weekly or every 2 weeks or whatever it's gonna take.
Right.
But yeah, I have some stuff, so.
Okay.
Further questions? Steve, you're up.
Right, a few things, going on as far as school's concerned. Miss Boston's English 12, she's had a number of guest speakers in, and she's got some more scheduled. Just some of the ones, H&R Block, came in and talked about taxes, about filing taxes, either whether you go into an office or you do it online. Roger Huddle came in for Hebron Huddle and talked about, wills and the purpose of wills and inheritance. And then Cody, Applar, our school resource officer, talked about accidents and filling out accident reports and the do's and don'ts about when you get pulled over, about what the proper procedures that you should do. And then we also had Tammy Edwards and Cindy Small came in. Tammy's for EMT and Cindy was a paramedic. They just talked about some of the maybe basic diseases or symptoms they're looking at with people that like stroke, heart attack, maybe a diabetic coma. Then upcoming speakers, we have Shelley Blazik from the EAA, a social worker. She's going to talk about, similar to when she comes in, talks about suicidal tendencies and so forth, social emotional learning. And then we got Lori Thompson and Becky Matthews coming in from Mills Thompson Insurance. Going to talk about the various types of insurance, car, house insurance, life insurance. And then we have Karen Hammer and Casey Heindel coming in talking about different types of, obviously get your checking and savings accounts, and also different styles of loans, like a car loan or maybe a loan for college. So some lifelong learning there for our students, and you know, kind of a nice thing too is we have some former students of Wapello coming in and doing some presentations, so it's kind of a nice way to see those guys come back in a different light. Mrs. Merritt's child development students recently worked with Miss Durgel this week. Some activities, they worked on fractions. They had a graham cracker and they broke it in half and they broke it into fours. They're talking about fractions there. So it was a nice way for her high school students to get with Miss Durgel's third year. Recently 25 students took the ASVAB, and then we had our National Guard reps came back and they interpreted the scores and explored in careers. If I remember right, and Kelsey, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think out of the 25 students, 23 had qualifying scores. What they needed, so very positive there. And then this Friday, our CTE teachers, Mr. Dunham, Ms. Billick, Mr. Horton, and Mrs. Merritt, along with our fine arts teachers, Ms. Swope and Mrs. Drow, are going to meet with our 8th graders. Basically give them information about their programs for when they get into high school and explain what their programs are all about. And Mrs. Merritt's advanced food class plans on feeding those kids and using the Weber grills that we purchased for that outdoor kitchen. So nice way for the kids, high school kids, to get involved in making the meals for those kids. Then Mrs. Brown's technical math for industry students. A new math class that we started this year. Doing some fourth quarter projects, using their skills as far as reading tape measures and things like that, and fractions and so forth. Just some of the projects they're doing. Some kids are going to help Mrs. Merritt with the cinder block planters outside for her outdoor garden, kitchen and garden, I should say. We have some kids that are doing a welding project on a cattle gate. Going to do some raised garden beds. We got some kids, our prom storage area is down in the basement of the old girls' locker room, and that's always a mess. We have some students that are gonna build some shelving down there. And there's some various wood projects that kids are doing. They're building some tables for home projects and so forth. So again, a good use for lifelong skills. Now, Mrs. Drow is going to be taking some art students next Wednesday to SEC for an art workshop. And then Hometown Day will also be that same day on Wednesday, April 24th. Our students will clean up the communities of Wapello and Wapello. I think we even have a route going out to Carroll. And then prom, I gave you Miss Bosch. I want to make sure that got some invitations out to the board members and administrators. You're more than welcome to stop by prom if you like. Grand March will be at 4 o'clock that day, and then the dance will be that night. And then last but not least, baccalaureate and senior awards night. We're going to actually do a little bit different than what we had. Baccalaureate used to be at rotated between usually the Solid Rock Church or the Methodist Church. I was approached by some senior members of our Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and they asked if they could put on the program, and they talked to the Ministerial Association in town, and they got their blessing. So I know there's going to be some senior leaders from the Fellowship of Christian Athletes that are going to lead baccalaureate, and Josh Helsher, who is their advisor, he plans on being there and helping out with that as well. That will start at 5:30, go from 5:30 to 6:30, and then at 7 o'clock that night, we will have our annual senior awards night, and that'll all take place in the auditorium. So, looking forward to see how the kids do their baccalaureate. They're pretty excited about that. That's it.
Where will baccalaureate be?
It'll be in the auditorium. That's where the senior awards night will be, right there, same place there. Wednesday, May 15th.
7 o'clock.
5:30 for baccalaureate, 7 o'clock for awards.
Any questions?
Some great things happening.
Is that a pretty good amount of students for National Guard to take that test? Or is it usually like that?
We used to, back in the day, we used to have at one time, we used to have all our sophomores take it, and we had all our juniors. Kind of went away from it. But I thought it was fair number. I think the majority of them were all juniors. We had a few seniors.
Yeah, 22 were juniors, 2 were seniors.
So,
All right, my report is in front of you. Let's talk about some legislative stuff first. The news from the AEA just keeps coming, you guys. This morning I received an update from our AEA chief that they are more than likely, and they, I mean the legislators, are more than likely going to cut an additional $10 million from the AEA system as a state in order to fund that newly created division of special ed with the Department of Ed. Now I'm going to editorialize a little bit here, but it seems kind of silly to take money from the AEA to fund a department that is going to do what the AEA was already doing. But if that is what happens, we have been warned by AEA chiefs that it's going to affect services. And more than likely it will affect special ed services to some degree. Obviously, no one can specify exactly what it is, but this caught me by surprise. I don't think anybody saw that this was coming. If you are comfortable with doing advocacy, I think this is something to contact both Mark and Taylor about, because this would not be a good thing. The AEAs are currently surveying districts to find out what services we want to receive. They're then going to put together a fee structure, and we can contract with them for services that we want and / can afford to purchase from them. So they're in the process of gathering that. One challenge that we are going to have to face is that Nathan, the AEA chief, told me that the mental health dollars the AEA used to receive have been reallocated. Those dollars used to offset some of the cost of our shared social worker. So I have the dollar figure in my report there of what it costs to it will cost next year per day to contract for a social worker. I think we need to try to figure out a way to continue to do this because I think the services are beneficial, but it's going to be a challenge to figure out how we're going to be able to do this. Kenny?
$22,000 a day?
That's like 1 day per week throughout the whole school year.
Correct.
Just want to make sure I was reading that right.
Yep, absolutely. So I talked about the social workers, the services, and the further cuts that are coming. A couple things on open enrollment. There is a bill that's going to the governor now. It's been passed that affects transportation. It used to be buses could not cross the district line. Now this new law says a bus can go up to 2 miles into another district, provided that the district the building a student wants to attend is geographically closer than the resident building they would attend, if that makes sense. To me, it's not solving any problems, it's just making the whole process more convoluted. But that has passed both houses, it's going to the governor, and it's expected that she will sign that. Remember that currently there is no open enrollment deadline. Parents can choose to open enroll whenever they choose to. There is still a clause in a bill that would put that deadline back in, so it isn't necessarily a dead issue yet. I don't know if it's going to make it through the system or not. It would be nice to have that deadline back in so that districts could plan. And then the caveat, we are coming up on the end of the session. They are done being paid. Their per diem has run out. So I would imagine they want to get done quickly. But they can attach anything they want onto an appropriations bill, whether it's appropriations related or not. So many times we have had things get attached at the last night of the session, and it gets passed and we get surprised. So even though something is technically dead, nothing is ever truly dead, okay? We are doing our principal interviews tomorrow. We have 5 candidates coming into town. We are going to begin over at the auditorium stage. I'm going to welcome all of the candidates and we're going to make sure they get on their way. Board members, you're going to start here at 8:30. And it's going to be a full day. We've got 5 different rotations that the candidates are going to go through. They're going to do staff, they're going to do some students. We have some parents/community members. Steve has graciously volunteered to take them on tours of the building and possibly around town if time allows, and then with the board. Okay? So it'll be a full day, but I think it'll be a good day. Graduation. Put that on your calendar, May 19th, 2 o'clock, in the air-conditioned comfort of the practice gym. My upcoming schedule, I have my monthly superintendent meeting in Fairfield. If you flip the page over, you will see that our student count held steady for the month, which is nice to see. And the last thing I have for you is a copy of a resolution that has been distributed to districts throughout the state. And I'm not going to ask you to decide anything on this, but I want you to at least see it. Districts have been asked to consider passing a resolution committing the ed services and the media services money that will now come to us to commit those funds to the AEA for next year for the purposes of planning. Eric and I need to sit down and determine if we can comfortably recommend this to you. I want to support the AEA 150%, but I also want to make sure that we can fund what we need to fund. So if you are willing to even consider this resolution, Eric and I will do that work and I will have an update for you in May. Is that workable for you? Okay, that's all I have.
Back to the mental health dollar thing.
Okay.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this, and maybe I'm not understanding this.
Well, that's okay.
If there's no money there, it's going to cost us $22,000 a day for someone to come in.
For 1 day a week, it would cost us $22,000
For the year.
For the year.
This says $22,000 per day.
Right. Per 1 day a week. 20% of a person is 22,000.
I get that,
Okay.
but I'm reading this as
Yep.
it's saying it's gonna cost us $22,000 every day.
If
We're gonna
that's
have
the
somebody
case,
in there.
we should all become social workers.
Maybe I'm the only one that reads it that way.
No,
but just
I can
wanted to
see
be
that.
sure.
I can see that.
So, Mike, I have a question too, on this resolution, on the resolution.
Yeah.
Are you saying this is something we probably would wanna do? I mean, to get control of the funding or
We
something?
might have to use some of that money to supplement other
Right.
areas,
Exactly.
and we can't commit fully to this.
So how, what is this resolution, where's this come from? I mean,
This is something that the AEAs have asked districts to consider. And basically what it would do is it would let them have a stronger sense of the funds they'd have available to work with for next year.
That makes sense. Well, they're wanting to know who's willing to work with them or
They're-
A lot
they're
of it's
wanting
just
to know.
planning for their own, for the
I mean, they need to know what revenue they have to be able to.
Yeah.
Right, understand. I'm just trying to see how they're, are they trying to override the state? Are they trying to, is it
No.
just a push to try to get people
Try to get
on board?
commitments and see how much
Commitments,
money
I
they
Look
understand.
at
have.
it as
Okay.
essentially kind
No,
of.
that's fine, I understand, I just wanna make sure I know what we're,
I mean,
their
Yeah, that's a good
goal
question.
is.
That's one big question is we don't know what schools are going to want, are going to need, so then how does the AEA staff, how does the AEA plan for their services that we're going to continue? I guess one thing would be, one question, I obviously wouldn't be able to vote on this, but like what media services you guys use as a district, what ed services you guys use as a district would be good for the other board members.
Anything else?
Another positive note, Mike, we did gain a student this week too. Gained another 7th grader.
That's good.
Yep. Some more coming too.
525.
Yeah,
That's
From
a
the
seventh-
north.
I heard that.
Seventh grade count too.
that's awesome.
41.
41.
That's good.
Recruiting kids from town hall too.
Well, I shouldn't say 41. I should say
Keep
36.
it coming, keep it coming.
Pretty good when they started at 28.
Yeah.
And so.
We have completed ISAP testing for the year. Yes. We should have our results by the end of April, so we're looking forward to seeing those, and we'll share those results with stakeholders as soon as we, have a chance to take a look at them. Spring screeners will take place April 22nd through May 3rd. This includes reading, math, and Sabers, My Sabers, K-12. Tracy Jarrett, Great Prairie AEA science consultant, will be in the district on May 1st to present to the 3rd through 5th grade teachers about Open SciEd, which is a science curriculum. We currently use mystery science, but are looking for something that goes a little bit more in depth. Kara Beach will finish up the Science of Reading course May 8th. The elementary staff will move to letters training next year. Hopefully during PD time, we're still kind of working that out, what that's gonna look like for us. So, that's all I have. ISASP has been a big part of the spring and taken care of.
Questions, comments?
Alright, like Shannon mentioned, we kind of finished up our ISAP testing, we still have our fast screeners for our words per minute and our iReady math screeners as well. But the biggest hurdle has been taken care of with ISAP, so. We're also doing the conditions for learning this week, grades 3 through 5 and then 6 through 12. Morning marathon, this is something that Mrs. Moore and Mrs. Vanderberg do each spring. They do this on Wednesday through Fridays when the weather permits for a couple days where they do well below freezing at 7 o'clock in the morning. But they've been going strong here the last couple of weeks. About 20 to 30 kids. I think that's tailed off just a little bit, but usually picks back up when the weather's a little nicer. The goal is to complete a marathon, 26.2 miles, and some of these kids will surpass that by a long shot. Got some really committed kids and dedicated and trying to set records, and it's pretty cool to see. So if you're bored in the morning at 7 o'clock and want to take a walk, there's usually kids out there. Open positions, we were planning on filling 2nd grade this month. We're waiting on some things with the state to take care of that. So I'm confident we'll have 2nd and 3rd grade next month instead. We've got applicants for these, I'm confident we'll get those filled. So Character Strong this month, our focus is on courage, choosing what is helpful, right, and kind, even when it's hard or scary. And at the elementary, we talk about those things in a multitude of ways in the classroom and outside of the classroom as well. So we're busy with lots of other things outside of school or occupying kids' times and weekends, and that doesn't slow down until we get back in school in the fall. So coming up here this week yet, on Friday, we have our pre-K roundup. We're about 35 kids that are signed up right now. A couple of those are gonna hopefully are planning on redoing that are a little on the younger side. So we're pretty close to as full as we've been in a while, which is a great thing to have. May 13th, our annual 5th grade track meet, 1:30 at the track on the 13th. Come on over.
It's not the
13th?
It's a Tuesday. I don't think it's a Tuesday.
Yeah,
14th.
Tuesday. 14th.
Yes.
That's that.
I say, I don't think it's
Okay. Yeah, it's not on Sunday, or, I'm sorry, Monday. Alright, May 16th, I know I got that date right.
Yes.
Is PBIS Fun Day, and this is our annual big event at the end of the year with the dump tanks and the fire trucks and all that, so we've got some planning to do with that, but it's coming up quickly. Always a good time for that. Rain date for that is the 17th. Any questions or any comments for the elementary report?
Can I just ask in general, like how big is the interview or the candidate pool for the elementary position?
We had 8 for the second grade and several applicants for the third grade.
Just got one thing to add, the DARE graduation will be this week as well.
Yes, the 20, it's a Thursday.
24.
It's
on my calendar.
I know it's a Thursday.
Oh, it is? Okay.
1:30.
Any questions? Alright, on to personnel hires. Just tell me how you wanna do them here. Start out with Karen.
Chelsea, you want to talk a little bit about what we have been doing with science and what we're hoping to do?
So currently science is staffed with Mr. Cruz, and we use a program called Elevate Iowa to teach chemistry and physics. So there are 2 sections of those. We are charged by the section. There's about 22 kids in chemistry, 9 in physics. So that's how we cover it now. As we've done the academic planning process for next year, considering Karen takes some of that stuff on for our kids, just kind of seeing how the numbers shape out for how many sections of things we're going to offer. But it's kind of it's nice to have a person back in the classroom because our kids have had some growing pains with the Elevate program.
Right. You've had some instructor
Yeah.
rotation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always better if you can have a person doing it rather than.
Chemistry and physics are very, very hard to learn online. But we made the decision for those kids to do it because they are academically probably more inclined, and we know there are universities that can't fill science spots. Like I have kids coming back to tell me that they are taking labs on Iowa State's campus online. So having that ability to do that is like they're prepared, but we would always prefer the in-person over the computer.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're gonna skip 2 for now until next month. Then 3 will be high school social studies and be another sheet, and Hunter Brooks.
Hunter Brooks, he is a graduate, graduate this May from Upper Iowa. Nice thing about it, he has his all social studies degree, so he can teach any social study class that we offer. So we don't have to take any extra schooling, and yeah, it's because in past times we've had to shuffle some people around and make it a little bit tougher on the hires. So And that's what we looked at out of the candidates. I think we had 9 candidates, and that was we interviewed 2 kids that both were very good. But we wanted to get somebody that had all social studies, and that's the ones that had all social studies. We looked at those guys first. So that's what we ended up with. Comes highly recommended, every background check on him. Have real good comments, so feel good about it.
I'll make a motion to hire Hunter Brooks for high school social studies.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Trent Master, head girls basketball coach.
You wanna sell him to us?
He's horrible. Look, I think his accolades speak for themselves, but obviously he played on our last state basketball team. He went on to play college basketball at SEC and Northwestern State and Western Illinois, and did a little summer stint with Miami Heat. You know, if you're going to hire somebody, especially if you're going to hire somebody in my situation to replace myself, I don't think anybody comes more decorated than that. Side note, he was also the only kid I've ever known that got Conference of the Year player of baseball and basketball in the same year. So maybe we can talk him into branching out into other things. You know, we're gonna have some junior high baseball jobs available next summer, and you know,
I make that contention.
I'm not sure he'll do that again. I don't know if he'll do that again. I mean, he actually did coach junior high baseball for us for a few years, so who knows what that's like. No, I think great opportunity for us to get someone who can come back and give back, but has also been out and learned from, you know, every level of basketball there is. So I think it'll be good for the girls.
He was a great 4th grader.
Good 5th grader too. Wow,
Still
Trent.
have those over there.
He is.
Watching over there.
So moved to hire Trent Master.
I guess I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, Jim Harrison, substitute bus driver.
Make a motion to hire Jim for substitute bus driver.
Second. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Sarah Schaefer, volunteer assistant softball coach.
Make a motion to hire Sarah Schaefer as a volunteer assistant softball coach.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, with summer help.
Make a motion to hire Caden, Isaac, and Colton for summer help. Custodial
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
help. Aye.
Opposed? Resignations, Bill Dunham. Whatever you want to do.
I make a motion to accept the resignations as stated.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, new business, public hearing, 24-25 calendar.
Alright, this calendar is in the same form as what you saw last time, so it's a change for anyone from the public to talk about the calendar if there's anything they'd like to say.
It was mentioned in the paper that maybe second semester they would do a trial of the 4-day school week. If that happened, was that gonna do the calendar?
If that happens, we'd have to go back, we'd have to amend the calendar.
We have a version nearly ready for that already.
Yeah, we could transition.
We do that.
While you're talking about that, I have heard concerns about doing that semester to make sure that it's decided far enough we can do the child care. You know, it can't just be like in November. It's gonna be a challenge.
I say we have a couple more months before we vote on it. It's an action item, right? It said that.
It says action.
That's just your public hearing.
Oh.
You'll act on it down.
Okay. Consideration approved list of fundraisers.
Do we need to go through them or just want the motion?
You want to, elementary student council is doing sticker sales, FCS is doing snot and lunches, or grills, burgers, and hot dogs, we're also gonna do salads. You have to pay days, shipping out chapter t-shirts and running the greenhouse. And softball is going to do cookie dough and t-shirts.
Make a motion to approve list of proposed fundraisers.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consideration approved board policies.
All right, let's take care of a lot of the paper space on the agenda here. First of all, I'm so glad you had a chance to experience Morning Sun's policies. I hope you enjoyed that almost as much as I did. Thank you for pointing that out so that I could pull up the correct folder and send them to you. I apologize for that. This first one, 707.5, is part of our regular rotation. The language is up to date with IASB. I have no recommended changes for it.
Make a motion to approve board policy 707.5.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approve amendments of following board policies.
All right, these are recommended amendments from Iowa Association of School Boards. Some are fairly minor, some are a little more involved. The first one's 405.2 and 411.2. Basically, they are language changes reflecting the fact that Teach Iowa no longer exists and that we now have to go through iowaworks.gov. It just reflects that change. 704.1, local, state, and federal miscellaneous revenue. It adds designees so that somebody other than Eric could necessarily take money from someone who comes in. And it also lists some items where we don't have to worry about not competing with private entities. Payroll deductions. You'll notice that one of the things you're going to do later on is you're going to rescind some policies. They have taken some policies and incorporated that language into other ones. That is something they've done with 706.2. This is all information that it has been included elsewhere. They're just bringing it under one umbrella. 706.3, they are changing the title of that policy to more accurately reflect the content of it. 707.1, again, is incorporating some of the information from policies you will be asked to rescind later on. And the last one, 707.4, the audit, it basically states that our auditors have to be certified in the state of Iowa. It doesn't mention the fact that there are far too few auditors in the state of Iowa, but we have to have a certified auditor, and that we have to file them with the state auditor and maintain a file of it ourselves.
I make a motion to approve the amendments listed. Can I do that? Say all those numbers?
You can do whatever you want.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approve rescinding the following board policies.
All right, the policies that we are asking you to rescind, they'll come out of the board manual, but all of the information is included in those policies that we just went through. So the information is still there, it is just housed a little different.
Make a motion to approve rescinding the bagging board policies level 4.5 through 707.3.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approve first reading amended board policies.
All right, IASB considers this to be an amendment, but they struck the entire policy and rewrote the whole thing. So I'm gonna ask you to do 2 readings. First reading tonight. This takes all of the fundraising, the digital, the online, the in-person, and puts them all in one place. Before, there were little pieces of information throughout different policies. This puts all of that into one document. I'd ask you to approve the first reading tonight, next month to approve the second reading, and then it will become official.
I make a motion to approve the first reading of the amended board policies.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? G, consideration to eliminate maintenance director position.
This is a topic that you talked about at your work session, and so now it comes before you.
say, just because we've done this, I mean, I don't like eliminating anybody's position, but unfortunately, circumstances are forcing our hand. Because the previous board, we worked pretty hard to try to get a maintenance position back, and I think it's needed, but once again, I understand the situation, and it's unfortunate. So with that, I think it's a necessary position is what I'm getting at. I mean, I think that any school district needs it. Unfortunately, we can't seem to afford it right now, so with that, we'll make a motion to.
Can I say something?
Yep, go ahead.
I mean, with the bathroom project and then the filters already brought up, can you do those before you leave? I mean, that kind of answers the question right there, that it's a needed position. So, and I know at the last meeting you guys had, that you requested information on who's doing these jobs when I'm gone, how much they're getting paid. I would like to know this stuff, as well. I own who's replacing me, that kind of stuff.
I think I talked to Mike, and I think he's talked to Cody and Mark, I'm sure, and whatnot. I think they're working that out right now, trying to figure out who's doing what, but I don't think we have all the information or costs or anything.
No, we need, right, we need to get through tonight, so then we can move forward on that.
Make a motion.
Yeah, I don't want to have to do it, but I guess we'll do it for now. And I will say too, that's going to make it hard for us to fill this position if we ever can again, with the knowledge that it's this expendable, unfortunately. But this stays in our position. The money and putting us between a rock and a hard place right now. So I'm sorry for that. I'll make a motion to eliminate the maintenance director position.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consideration to approve not filling the following extracurricular positions.
Okay, these are the 4 positions you talked about at the work session. Again, Brandon will answer any questions you might have, but they come to you for action at this point.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Is consideration to adopt the 25 budget.
You have if you flip back the very front page of what your packet was tonight, you should have the latest figures. After the state set SSA, and we were able to enter that and make some adjustments. If you recall, the first public hearing, we were at 1360 because we did not have SSA set. Since they did that, the proposed tax rate, or the adopted tax rate, is now 1321. That is up 20 cents over where we were at this year, but budget guarantee is funding, it is taking up that 20 cents. Any questions?
What'd you say it ended up being?
1321.
I make a motion to approve the fiscal 25 budget.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consideration approved 24-25.
I'll make a motion to approve the 24-25 calendar.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion and approval of proposed graduation requirement changes.
Kelsey, are you?
Yeah, I need the.
Brett, turn on.
Okay. It's a weird spot. Area. Mike, do they have this?
No, she's not.
Yes.
Well, I share with you.
Yeah, we'll have it.
Yeah. One in every crowd.
Always.
hanging from the ceiling ground.
Right.
Distracted, raise your hand.
Okay. So I have two kind of parts of my presentation tonight. The first part is just about academic planning that we have in the high school and master schedules, why we offer what we offer, how many sections we offer it. Mike and I have had conversations about that over the last year, especially with budget cuts, and you guys have looked at that and asked questions as well. So that's the first part, and then we have the second part where we asked to change the graduation requirements just a little bit. Because I know some of you are new, as a school counselor, I work with kids in 5 different domains. Academic, social, emotional, and career in college. Tonight we'll focus more on academic and career in college, and working with every student. It should start, and it does start in the K-12. It starts in the K. Formally, we starting this process around 8th grade, where we ask them to create a 4-year plan. We get that with contribution between teachers, parents, community, and myself. When we start talking about post-secondary, we start talking about for college. So in WHS, we define college very differently than probably traditionally would define it. We would define it as a broad term that encompasses all options after high school, that lead to what employers are looking for, that leads to further education or training. We know as of right now, 70% of our jobs require some sort of post-secondary education. They can get that education in these options. So it's not a traditional 4-year stone mortar type of thing. It is very much flexible. And even more, we're going to start looking at kids finishing some of this before they walk out our doors in the senior year. So, but that's kind of what we can interpret all those through. And again, every kid is going to have an individual path. Our school is very individual in the fact that we have a lot of teachers, a lot of CTE programs that allow our kids to take different things and different courses to kind of match what they want to do after high school. Academic planning works like this in the high school. The first round is class presentations. So I meet with every class 8 through 11, and we talk about every option they have. We define college, we talk about post-secondary plans, and start working towards what are the high school classes that we have that get there, and how we prepare for that the best way. So that's first round. Second round happened all last week, where I use individual kids for about 8 to 10 minutes, and we talk about what they picked. We also sign up for Southeast Community College classes that way, and make sure they're on track to graduate, especially our 11th graders becoming seniors, so how we make sure that they've got everything before that final year starts. The last part is move-up day and back to school. Move-up day is something that we started when I got here, where they get a chance to look at their brand new schedule and move up a grade level. It also allows us to practice transition. Our 5th grade comes over and becomes 6th grade, 8th grade gets to go to the high school, all of those things happen. It's also kind of their last chance to see and change classes. However, kids email me all the time over the summer. I have those 10 days I come back early. I take appointments all those times where kids can ask questions, change their minds, all that kind of stuff. So once number 2 happens, then I work in the master schedule creation. This is what it's based on. There's student choice and requests, K-12 shared staff that we have, and we also look at specifically in our building, our staff that is 612, and then our staff that is 6-8 and is 912. So we have about 3 different subgroups working within that. We also look at the licensure of all of our teachers and what they can teach according to the state of Iowa, and then we have accreditation, which we have to meet in order to become a high school that can graduate our students with an actual transcript and move on past this. Accreditation, defined by Chapter 12 of Iowa state law, says that we have to offer and teach 6 units of English, 5 units of social studies, 6 units of math, 5 units of science, 1 health unit, 1 PE unit, 3 units of fine arts, and then 12 of CTE, which CTE becomes tricky because you have to offer so many strands within so many departments and to have a sequence. So it's a little bit of a nightmare. So that's all of our accreditation standards.
A little bit of a nightmare.
Yeah,
That's an understatement.
it becomes a little bit of a puzzle piece for me for a while. But that's the standards that we meet and what we take from the state of Iowa in order to meet those things. We also take guidelines from Senior Year Plus, which tells us with concurrent enrollment what we can and can't do with those. House File 2392, which tells us that every kid has to have a 4-year plan and it has to be reviewed every year. We also have our district career and academic plan, which is also normally called the DCAP, which we're working on, which is due in 2 weeks. So we're working on it, which I think we present, I think in June about that. So those are the guidelines just about master schedule, strength lake, and why we offer what we offer. So when you look at our master schedule, it looks like it makes no sense. It looks like a nightmare. It looks like there's no rhyme or reason. I just threw stuff in there. It's not what happens. There is always a process what we follow. So we have to make sure that we're still becoming accredited. So like sometimes we'll have oddball classes that are offered one period that have 5 kids in it. Well, that probably makes us accredited high school. So there's always a reason why we do that. And then I look at it, and then Steve and Mike look at it as well as Shannon. So any questions on part 1? I know I threw a lot at you, and I talked real fast. But if you have any questions on that part, I know there's some raised earlier this year.
I'm just going to say that, and I would say this even if Kelsey wasn't standing in front of you. Kelsey is an expert in terms of academic planning and the accreditation piece. I have to file the state reports that verify our accreditation. In the past, it's always been a struggle to figure out how that was going to fit, how we were going to make the state be happy with us. It is no longer a struggle because Kelsey understands accreditation inside and out. And so it is not a concern that I have. It's not a concern that as a district we need to have. So for that, kudos to you for that, Kelsey.
Any other questions I can answer about academic planning?
Well, you talk so fast.
I know.
Time to answer
And I'm a little nervous, so it's a little late. It happens.
Oh, that's very good.
So the second part is just some changes to our graduation requirements. So at the top is the current recommendation, is our current class number. We have 52 credits, but they're broken up into specific things. Below is the highlighted changes. So the first one would be health, career and technical, and fine arts. You're just combining those to make the language simpler and our graduation requirements. Our kids are still going to get those areas, but it just gives them a little more flexibility in their academic plan in order to get them. The other thing is we're not going to eliminate financial literacy, we're going to absorb it into economics. And so a couple reasons behind that is with Bill Dunham not being here and Michael Horton taking on some of that responsibility, he doesn't have enough room in his schedule to teach it anymore. And Karen Merritt, who used to teach it, doesn't have room in her schedule either with her strands as they're going right now. So, and what a lot of schools do is they just combine it through. So then we also used to have 7 social studies credits. We're going to limit that down to 6. And here's what happens when we restructure them. So this starts with the class of 2028, so our current 8th graders. They will take World Geography, Ancient or Modern Civ. They will take U.S. History A, which we have yet to determine an age, like a year span on that. That's why I labeled it A. They will take that the second semester of their sophomore year. Then they will take U.S. History B on their juniors, Econ and Financial Literacy in the spring of their junior year, right before they're heading into senior year, where we can introduce FAFSA, grants, scholarships, all of those really key pieces, so our kids understand that before they're seniors, and then they'll take government as a senior. So you're not eliminating anything in terms of a core requirement. We're still going to be at accredited high school. We're just taking the elective requirement away. And with this change, the class of 2028, the class of 2027 will kind of follow each other and double up until 2028 happens, which is okay. And students are still eligible to take the elective social studies credits. You just have kids in there who generally really love social studies. And in past practice, kids really like social studies. They like our social studies teachers. They take class there anyway. So you're just eliminating it down so they can focus on other areas if they so choose.
So every student will take those courses?
Yes. This will be a part of our graduation requirements.
Yep. Which will make it much easier when the state looks at social studies standards, which they say they're going to. The only way you can reliably assure that all of the kids get the standard content is if they all follow the same path of classes. So this will help with that.
Yes.
And they're still getting the same content even with financial literacy,
Yes.
technically.
Yes.
Still.
So I do have one question
Sure.
with that. Financial literacy,
Mm-hmm.
if you lump it in with economics,
Mhm.
they're not getting one semester of financial literacy
Sure.
anymore, correct? They
Yes.
are going to get like a snippet of financial literacy.
It depends on how we do it. And so luckily with this change, we don't have to actually worry about it for 2 years. Because this affects only 2028. The current sophomores already have it. And so we have about a year to design the class how we want to design it.
I just, as not just a board member, but as a
Sure.
person that comes from that background.
Yeah.
And we hire people.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge deal. Financial literacy is a big deal. And so I just wanna make sure like.
What we also know is right now it's offering their sophomore year and they're developmentally not ready. We know
I
that
would
for
agree
sure.
with that.
Yeah.
So they don't understand, they can't
Yeah.
connect it to their life later on. So this is where it becomes very, very pertinent to their lives. Which allows us to really focus in on it and make it, whatever content we cover this semester, maybe they will do it in half, because they're older.
Kelsey, you wanna mention why that second semester of the senior year, they don't have a social studies class?
So that happened because we have students sometimes that don't always pass their required classes. So we also have the ability to recover that. In the last 3 years, hasn't happened a ton. Our kids pass stuff, our teachers are great with making sure that happens, but we have like 3 this year that have to repeat it. So that becomes a trick on how you get that in before they graduate in May. So that's kind of how the social studies is. And on that sheet that you have, it shows you how it tracks over the 4 years, like how we kind of work the new system in, because it will take till the class of 2028 graduates for everything to be how it should be. And then on the back of that page, it shows you a breakdown of the courses by grade and how that shuffles and moves them around. So your graduation requirements is not changing, it's still 52, you're just restructuring how they go.
So government's not offer a second semester, how do the kids retake it?
So we use an online ingenuity program that recovers the credit, that I monitor for all the students.
Good question.
Yes.
That's a good question.
I do, we do it online.
How does the social studies change affect the freshmen?
The current freshmen?
Yes.
So they're doubled up for a while, they're gonna still follow the same path.
Okay.
But they're just doubled up with the freshmen. And Jake Frazee and I need to talk about if he wants only sections of ancient and modern to be separated by grade. Do you lump them all together? How do you make that work? He and I have to talk about that just a little bit. But that'll be a topic we have, he and I discuss later.
It's transitioning within
Yeah.
a new system,
Yep. So we can create it in a system where we only have ancient civilization with just sophomores and just freshmen. We can keep them separated out.
I would mention that when I talked to Kelsey, we talked about can you go from 7 credits down to 6.
Mm-hmm.
Most of our kids, at least in my experience when I was in the social studies classroom, they weren't finishing with 7 anyway. A lot of our kids were finishing with 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that that's going to affect long-term anything because they're still going to take 7 because they got this elective that they really want to take, you know. So if they find a topic they like and there's an elective for it, those kids are going to take 8 or 9 credits in social studies anyways.
We also offer ancient sociology in the fall as a college credit, that's a social studies credit. And most of the time, if a student takes a college credit class, the first one they take is Intro to Sociology or Intro to Psychology. Those are both social studies credits as well.
So this is listed as an information/action item so that if you are comfortable and you understand the changes that Kelsey is proposing, you can take action on that tonight if you're comfortable doing that. Obviously, a lot of planning and a lot of conversations have gone into a change like this because it's certainly not, you can't just change one thing without it affecting the whole system, so.
My only issue was the financial lit question, because I just,
It's such a, it's going from one entire semester to.
I would say so. I would say something to get going content.
Can we clarify, our students with special needs, they're still helped with this?
Yes. Yep, with assistance by their advocates. Yep.
And your financial literacy question, U.S. history has some of that in there too, especially when you talk about stocks and you talk about investments. And so there's a lot of crossover too that they're already should be doing, even just as a U.S. history class before they get to financial literacy. So I don't know if that helps you at all, but there is some of that in there as well.
It sounds like you have some guest speakers come in and talk about some financial things.
Yeah, so we have partnerships with the Iowa College Access Network that would come in and do it with us. Southeast Community College also has people that come in and help us. In fact, it changed this year, so it's been a nightmare as well.
Yes.
Yes, those of you who've done it, it's not fun.
I make a motion to approve the proposed graduation requirement changes.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Okay. ESSER funds.
Alright, Eric, you wanna talk about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're getting down to the end of where the funds are available for ESSER. My latest prediction has us just a shade over 43,000. I've listed some things out. Mike and I had a discussion with Russ Bush, our ABA tech guy, last week, and there's some needs coming up for the next year that we could fund through our regular funding channels, but since we need to use up this ESSER money, we said we would push it to the board and see if we want to do it now. Travis Wright come to us asking about the possibility of a football or a washer and dryer on the football field, be used for track, baseball, whatever. So his request is in there, and then these requests from technology. That last one down there, I've talked with one or two of you about this, but recruitment retention, we've got a lot of vacant positions right now. If somebody comes to our website, there's some information out there, but I talked with Lynette and Brad Grimm, the Grimm Company, got pricing on, if they were to come in and do a short promo video as far as, what Wapello has to offer for students and staff, what would that look like and what would it cost? And then for a 2 to 3 minute video, it's just their base charge would be $7,500. Now, if you want to add on to that from year to year, we've got some funding that we can build on that each year, but that's what they would charge us for. Looking at the total on the page, you're a little bit over what you've got, so, if you don't want to do that, we can do all the technology pieces, we can take some of that technology out of other areas too. But that's what we came up with for, to use up this money and get it done and get it spent and all the books.
Couple questions. So on the first thing, you were talking about the MacBook laptops, right? So if we use that as ESSER, what could we use? If we don't use that money, then what could we use that money for? Since it comes out of that, technically, can we use it for anything else, or does it have to?
No, it can be used because it's PEPAL or sales tax money.
It would be okay for that. And then on the promo video, how do we know what the payback is on something like that? I mean, is there do we have other ones out there that we can?
Burlington's got one out there that she told me to, I can give you a link to go look at it if you like. And
I would like to see something like that
Sure.
before we make a decision on something like that. I don't know, make sure that's $7,500, that's a lot of money.
Burlington started out with one they've added on, they build on theirs, they've added testimonials over the years, and they added 2 of them grand planning. So I'll send you a link to theirs.
Would, an idea, a question, I don't know if it's possible or feasible. Would they be willing to reduce some of that so we're not over our total if we could have some of the students help that might be interested in that area?
Is it something that we could do as a school, using a certain class, using a drone,
I don't know what, that'd be more Kelsey's
Like, do we
expertise to know
do
we
we
got
have
a class
students
that we
interested in that stuff, like in photography, geography, things like that? That they would either knock off some of that price or we would do it ourselves. That's just my thought on that. I like the idea, I do like that idea, but could we use that money for something else or, Some extra.
And, kind of the direction I came at this, there was some videos out there that, we'd had some staff videos, a lot of our staff have moved on, they're not really.
Up to date.
Yeah, and, the town had that promotional video they did with Communities of Distinction, but unfortunately, some of the folks they had in that have now passed on, so.
It is probably
It's not
time
relevant.
to.
Yeah, I do like it, and I think that's a huge thing with social media too, like we
Yes.
need to
It's
be
huge.
showcasing what we do, we need to be showcasing who we are as a district, we need to be showcasing all the awesome things that our teachers are doing to prepare our kids for real world.
Kelsey, is there any class out there that would fit into if you had a group? Is there, if you had some students who are interested in producing a short video or?
Sales and marketing would probably be the one that comes to mind. Computer science would be the other one. Trying to think.
Student council project.
I mean, well, if we can look at it. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of kids that can do it, and really the urban boys can both do it. Christian Tolentino, Luis Tolentino, they can both do it. I'm trying to think of other kids.
Yeah, Ridley did the preschool video we put out this spring. And I just got in videos and pictures from the preschool teachers and we put it together in music and I mean it was real quick. I think with more time and planning and whatnot, it would be even better.
Well, for one thing for sure about the ESSER money, we want to make sure we use
And
it all.
yes.
One way or another.
Yeah.
We have until deadline comes up this May?
Yeah.
June, May?
Yeah, I'll say May.
But
It's June, but I'd like to have it done by May.
Right.
Well,
So you can start working on the reimbursement, right? I think I like the idea of the washer dryer, it sounds like it's needed, the MacBook thing, we can still use that. The iPad, I mean, the only thing she's really concerned about is the video thing.
We can pull that out for now, and like I said, there's other grant funding that we could use towards that.
Towards something like that.
I really like that.
I
I
do
like
think
that
we need to
idea.
stay on that.
But we can take the time and,
But we can explore.
Right.
we can use the ESSER funds on something else, but the SRSA grant, Small Rural School Achievement Grant, next year I know it's gonna be over 40,000, so, we could, and that is a technology-based grant too, so we could easily funnel that to that if we need to.
I've had something that, like, is that for like elementary kids? Or is that
You
for-
remember, I think they are.
It was for lower elementary.
But I think Brandon has some that they were gonna replace and.
I'm just trying to think of, the
He
way
asked me if I needed some,
$7,500.
and I have some now. They're getting older,
I
so
think-
he might have put some on there. For
I think
that.
he did, because I think you're running up against where they can't be.
They can't be serviced. So if right now, if something breaks on one of my iPads, I can send it in, and they'll fix it and send it back to us as part of our insurance. But the way that it's going is they're getting old enough that now if they break, they just say, well, we won't fix those at all.
Yeah.
And we will get nothing out of them. So by having a newer iPad, if something does break, they'll either fix it or replace it. But once it's out of a certain date, they don't do that anymore. So he might have added 4 or 5 for that as my.
And I'm sure if we went to Russ and said, okay, we're gonna have about $7,500 more to spend, what would you recommend? There's always technology.
Well, it's really only $3,175.
Another option that we might want to consider too is earlier on in the ESSER, when all this first started, we put out, we were trying to, as they were lessening or untightening the rules, so to speak, and they were letting you spend it on, more and more things to try to do, and we put it out there and ask staff, is there things you guys that we could use and you need in your classroom? When if we're looking at trying to spend $7,500, is there some things there that could be some of the staff needs and just like the washer and dryer for the athletic complexes or something that they could get in the classrooms, because whatever we got previously, I'm sure has been used or.
And I know we did a pretty good job of taking care of that list,
Yeah.
but there's nothing that says you can't say, all right, we're looking at
I mean,
like
we're having
$3,100.
limited time and limited funds,
What
we're
do you
just trying
think?
to figure out what else we can.
Yeah.
Because there's some other things out there that we don't know about.
But you're exactly right. The last thing you wanna do is leave that money on the table.
Can I make an opposite suggestion?
Yeah.
So I know like in the past you have done like some bonuses with that money. It might benefit the district to offer a bonus for current employees that signed their new contract for next year. Because we've lost quite a few, staff members this year, and contracts haven't come out to know who else we could possibly be losing. And the contracts are getting hard, I mean, it's getting harder and harder to fill those positions. That's just the suggestion.
Hey, that's what we're looking for, recommendation. I'm not against that. I think we had previously had discussed that, and we do it twice. Twice. So, I mean, that's another option.
I think there was some, we were given at Christmas time too.
Right.
It was approximately 25,000.
I think it had 21,000 on
I
the
guess
page.
depending on what amount, was it 3 or 5? Yeah. 3. I mean, it possibly sounds like that the complex over the track, the football field, bathroom, may or may not get done. It's a sanitary thing, I think you use that.
I could
Yeah.
I could
But
creatively.
it has to be done and
It has to be
But you
paid
could,
for, it can't just be.
but you could purchase,
Right.
the equipment. I mean, I have the list. You could purchase, the school could purchase that stuff that you need as far as the fixtures and whatnot.
Okay.
And that would at least take some of that money. It's not gonna get the job done, but if you purchase that part of it, then you can get reimbursed for that.
Okay.
So you have it and it can be done.
And we're
It's purchased.
talking about using, the grant money to replace the other fence by the bus barn, that area, when that
When the
comes
state
in,
finally sends
so
it,
we don't
yeah.
get used, ESSER for any of that, then.
Right.
So we need to add to this list or modify it a little
Well,
bit.
why don't we
Get some
pause
other
on this?
ideas, get some.
We're not in motion here, and let's.
Is there anything that we can approve right
Yeah, I
now
was
on
gonna say,
here?
can we
Are you
approve?
comfortable
To get
with the
that-
first 4 tech pieces?
Well, that's a huge.
Or do you want to wait on the whole thing?
Well, some of these tech pieces
can be-
below, it says it can be funded
Right.
with other things.
And it can.
So if we're talking about doing other things, then do we really wanna agree on the tech things if we're gonna like
Well, let's just
reevaluate?
That's the whole thing, and see other ideas, put something out to the staff, let's look at this, consider that bathroom over there, get some other
I
options.
mean, I am good with the washer and dryer, if we need to approve that to get it going, so.
I don't think there's anything vitally important from a time frame.
no,
is it?
well, no, but we have to have a decision by next month.
Yeah, you can't put it off another month,
Yeah.
it's gotta be done.
We've gotta make a decision in May, and, cause if there's some of this stuff has to be ordered, whether it gets here by June 30th, it'll be the next thing, so. Now, we should have another meeting between, am I right? At some point between now and the May meeting.
Oh, yes,
So-
yes, I'm gonna ask you to do
We
that,
may,
because I'm gonna ask you to hire a high school principal.
I guess if you have a
Yes.
list,
Oh,
let's get those ideas in,
Yeah.
and maybe if we can get it done sooner
Let's,
rather than later.
Let's see if we can do a promo video for the school using the students and staff. And let's send an email out to all the staff members.
We'll do that.
I'm wondering if Brad and Lynette would help, like, provide some advice or something, just as like a volunteer, like if we could ask them to, how do we make this look professional, like, can we make that kind of learning opportunity for the kids to do it, they would learn.
Never hurts to ask.
Okay, so Deb.
Let's take a look.
Okay.
Yep, go ahead.
Alright, next one up, consideration to approve freshman services Pepsi contract.
Brandon, this is your thing.
Yeah, so it's just a standard.
Sorry, didn't mean to shock you.
I don't know, it's just a standard Pepsi contract that we sign every 5 years, and they usually ask us is, there's something that you need in way of a scoreboard or whatever, and we have our scoreboards kind of on a rotation. The one that is the oldest in the district currently is the one in the main gym, so that one would be replaced. The next one up in 5 more years would be the football field scoreboard. 5 years later, it would be the baseball, and then 5 years later, it would be softball, or softball, then baseball. So they signed the contract, they make it for as much as they can, or as close as to the price of the scoreboard as they can, so that it relieves the amount of money we're paying. Obviously, they pay that amount of money over 5 years, so we have to pay for the scoreboard, for example, up front, but over 5 years, we recoup that money. That's essentially what that contract says. Did I get anything wrong, Eric?
No, I think you're right. I think, the last item we bought was this scoreboard table. that amount of money up front, and we just bought the scores table. And then,
And they're giving us a big chunk up front so that we're not funding the whole scoreboard ourselves, right?
right.
But if that contract is signed, I believe that July 1st, that first payment's gonna head our way. And just to kind of give you an idea of the scoreboard I'm looking at, it's essentially the same type of scoreboard we have now, but it would have wings on the side that have, for example, for basketball, has points, has the player number, points, fouls. It would have a banner on it that said something of the effect of like Wapello High School. At the bottom it would say, or it would have some sort of Pepsi sign at the bottom. But ours in the gym, if you see that, there are a couple spots where there's punctures through it, and it's time for a new scoreboard. So. What's that?
What fund are we taking that out of? Fund it, the whole thing, right? Because they're not gonna do a payment plan for the actual.
Those are 12,000. What's the new one cost? I don't even know.
This one that we're putting together, you have to buy each piece separately. So it's in the ballpark of what that contract is. It's 36,000, 30 to 35,000.
So you just take it out of, you get what, take what you get up front and apply that to it, and what's left it'd just be coming out of sales tax, and then the money would be redeposited in the sales tax over the next 4 years.
Which I've seen those checks come year to year. They go right to Eric, they go into the general fund or whatever county takes it out of. So
wherever we pay it from is where it's going to be reimbursed.
I make a motion to approve the Pepsi contract.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consideration approved district exit interview process.
All right, in your packet is an exit interview form that we have put together. We currently have a much scaled down process that we've typically given people a form, asked them to please fill it out. Some people do, some people don't. We've talked about having a more formalized process, so this is what we've put together. Carrie provided a lot of information from her resources, so thank you for that, Carrie. The plan would be, if you approve this, then Tammy, who has the perfect personality for this kind of thing, would conduct in-person exit interviews with staff who are not going to be returning for us, in the hopes that we get some good, honest feedback, and if we identify some areas that we need to look at, we're able to take a look at it. So, if you approve this, then we will get the process in place and we will use it yet this spring.
We kind of had some discussions, don't know, it's just an idea, what do you think about interviewing people that are planning on staying?
Stay interview process.
Yeah, just
Before it gets to that.
Just
If we can do
before.
something, we do both.
we can get to that.
We do exit interviews and we do stay interviews.
Yeah, so just an idea.
Yeah.
You might get some information, some things you didn't know anything about.
Stay interviews are a good idea too.
Yeah, just an idea, some of us have been kicking around. I make a motion to approve the district exit interview process.
Second. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Radio contracts.
Val, are you gonna talk about rodeo contracts?
I am. The students are just getting back from state convention and is feeling so tired, so I said I would come tonight and talk about the contracts. First contract you have is the Specialty Act performance contract, Brian Patton and the Misfit Cowboy. Completely different than what we've had in the past with the motorcycles. He rides a Brawl Man and a Longhorn and has fire involved with it and completely different. So if you have time, Google him. RFD TV did a whole special on him. Very interesting. So we're excited. The kids picked him out and wanted to do a complete change, and so our stock contractor, we say that the barns like to do the shopping for us because they get the better price when they contact these specialty acts because they book several rodeos out. So they helped us secure him this year. And then the other contract you have is for the stock contractor, Barnes PRCA Rodeo. Price and deal has remained the same as years past. Everything is the same. So added money, purse money, paragraph 5, that's all remaining the same, besides there was a WPRA breakaway roping regulation put on it. New sport for women in rodeo. Last year, we gave them a purse amount of $500. This year, they put a regulation on there, they're gonna stair step it up to be the same amount as their barrel added money of $1,750 in 3 years, as a process of stepping it up slowly. So with that being said, $875 is what the added money will have to be for breakaway. With that being said too, I think we're gonna get a lot of them, because last year we had slack and we had 20 some breakaway ropers. These ladies will come and they'll run for $500 because not all the rodeos are having this event. So it was a big thing. So, and it's growing. So it's neat to be a part of that. So, and then I don't know if you have the scoreboard contract too signed. We're just in year 3 of it. I don't know if we're gonna put that in there, but it's signed. But we, like I said, we are in your third year of it. That'll be something we will renegotiate this summer. So, any questions?
I'm excited about the new act.
I am too.
What was his name?
Brian Pack, and it's the Misfit Cowboy. If you Google him, that RFD TV special comes up on him. He was in Las Vegas for the NFR. Weston, the stock contractor, booked him. I talked to him a couple times. Really interesting guy. He shoots horses for a living, but he picked up on this rodeo specialty act stuff several years ago. His kids are involved in his act. His dad was an ag teacher, so there's some tie there. But yeah, I'm really interested in this guy. And the videos show he runs both the animals up on top of his trailer at the end of the act. So they're very well trained animals. He runs them through a fire loop. He rides the one standing up. So kind of different, just very, very different. So and he promotes a good message of don't be afraid to be different. And don't be afraid to fail. That's his big thing. So, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the rodeo contracts for 2024.
Second. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, initial proposal negotiation.
I've got time.
Okay, that's fine.
I think you're leads. Oh, okay. All right, so I think you have a copy of this. So the association process proposes the current contract language for all articles with the following exceptions. While acknowledging there are topics of bargaining in this contract that are not now excluded under the law, the association looks forward to a discussion as to where these topics will be housed moving forward. So, normal lane and step movement, a labor management committee. So the association and the district agreed to establish a joint labor management committee. The purpose of this committee is to collaboratively discuss and make decisions regarding employment matters excluded from the master contract and other matters mutually agreed upon. So I think we've been kind of trying to get this going for a few years. Just kind of a way for us to get together and just to discuss things and try to understand where each other is coming from. Base wages, so the association proposes a salary increase of $1,000 on the base. The district will cover the insurance increases for the 24-25 contract with a reopener clause for salary and other matters mutually agreed upon by the parties for the remainder of the contract years. Change the number of contract days to 181. And then kind of like for Article 3, letter D1A, a 4% career increment will be given to those staff members who are on the last step of the salary schedule. BA through BA plus 30, MA through MA plus 20 shall receive a 6% career increment. Because I know we got the whole, the state, came up with their whatever, but we have several people on staff who won't get anything with this new, the new increase from the state. So this is kind of a way to help the people that have been here for many years.
Don, is that 4% of the base or 4% of that where they land on each lane?
Sarah?
I think we were thinking 4% of the base.
Thank you.
So, and then add to Appendix D at the end of the paragraph, payment to be made at the end of the season. We had some people that, like some people who, if they are, their season for coaching or whatever that ends.
Or sponsored.
Or sponsor, yeah, ends in like fall, but they don't get paid till the end of the year. They were just wondering if there was any way that they could be paid at the end of the season, their season when it ends.
They came to us and said it used to be done that way. I don't know.
Example?
I don't know. Somebody, we had a request from somebody.
Just, they said that they used to get paid at the end of the season, and I don't know if it was this year or previous years that now they're not getting paid at the end of the year. So when I looked at the master contract, that wasn't in there. I don't know because
We
I
can
don't
certainly look into it.
have any of those.
I thought it was at the end of every season.
It is, but there are some year-long contracts
Okay.
that get paid at the end of the
All
season.
right, well, like I said, we had somebody ask us about it.
Sure.
That felt like that they didn't get paid till the end of the year, so.
Okay.
And we aren't part of that, so.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
That doesn't affect
So like,
Understood.
okay. And then another one is like a health benefit committee. Wapello Education Association would also like to pursue a health benefit committee to help research best insurance options for the employees of the Wapello Community School District. The committee will research best insurance options for the employees of the Wapello Community School District. And this is again another just get together and have conversations to talk about how things are going and that kind of stuff. And then the duration of the agreement shall be effective the first day of July 2024 and shall continue in force and effect until the 30th day of June.
No, Eric, because when Carrie left, this got kind of thrown in our laps, and we don't know when that clause comes back for where we have to
recertify.
I think you have to do it now because I don't know when you have to do it. Debbie, some right UNICEF to tell you, but
yeah, okay.
she always wanted to do a 3-year.
Yes.
And I believe when it was agreed to a 2-year last year, that forced you into recertification election. And I don't know when that has to happen, but
Okay, I can message about
yeah,
that.
ask her because I don't know that, but I believe that's why Carrie always stayed on a 3-year.
Mm-hmm.
But then we went to this 2-year, and I think that might have forced you into recertification election coming up sometime.
But UNICEF would be able to answer that for sure. Okay.
Any questions, comments? Just information.
I think this is very clear. Yep.
So on the labor management committee, would that be the same thing that you would be talking about, like a stay? Could you use that like we have your stay interview? I mean, that kind of discussion could take place on something like that too.
Yeah, well, I suppose, yeah.
The
I mean,
results of
really anything,
the results of your stay
interview.
Instead of adding something,
It could just be anything, I've talked to a few, I know I kind of cornered Kenny one day and just said, sometimes it'd be nice just for us to get together and discuss things so we know, so you guys understand where we're coming from, and we can understand where you're coming from, just so we kind of work together instead of kind of.
We're not saying that we will necessarily always agree on everything,
Right,
but
absolutely, just to have conversations.
Right.
I know in other districts, like their labor management committee, they talk about the calendar.
Yes.
And they talk about just random
Right.
things are going.
And like I said, it doesn't mean that like she said, it doesn't mean we'll agree, but at least if we can discuss and let you know where we're coming from, and you guys can let us know where you're coming from, and just conversations sometimes.
Communication's a big thing.
Yes, and that's kind of what we want.
And you could throw the stay interview stuff in there.
Absolutely.
The results or whatever,
I mean,
your
really,
findings.
yeah.
If you're gonna set something up like that, you might incorporate that. So
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
something to deal with.
Alright.
Q, consideration date and time for presentation of initial proposals.
Alright, the way the process works is now that the association has officially presented to us, we have 2 weeks in which to present our initial proposal to them. Past practice has been we're gonna have an exempt session at the end of tonight. We're gonna draft our initial proposal. And in the past, Dawn and I have picked a noon time that has worked. It's a public meeting. In the past, no one has been here other than Dawn and I, but it is a public meeting. And I present, well, sometimes Jim comes, yes. Sorry, Jim, didn't mean to make you feel bad. And I present our proposal to Dawn just like they did to us. Okay. So are you comfortable with Dawn and I just finding a time that mutually works, and then I let you guys know when that is? And if you can come, you come. If you can't, you can't.
Sure.
Okay.
So, make a motion just like that.
Make a motion just like that.
Make a motion to let Mike and Dawn set their time and date for the negotiation.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Opposed? So consideration set date time for the next week.
All right, May 8th is your second Wednesday. That would be your regular meeting. However, based on how our interviews go tomorrow, I would very easily see us setting a special meeting to bring a principal on board, but we'll determine that after interviews tomorrow. So we're looking at May 8th.
There is a booster meeting that night. Can we change it? Okay.
Other than the 15th is awards.
It's getting to be a busy.
I'm afraid they do everything.
What is that, a Wednesday?
Wednesday. And moving the booster meeting isn't a problem?
That's, what is that?
Conference.
Nothing on the calendar as far as that.
Sectionals are in New London. But it starts at 9 a.m.
Those aren't on the calendar yet because I wait for them to tell us where and what day.
It's going to be 9.
Because some golf courses can't do it that day, so they'll change the date. So I don't put that on the calendar yet, but the 15th is when it's supposed to be.
No, that's districts.
No, 8th, sorry, 8th.
Split it.
Do you want to move it to a different day?
No, I think we just move it back a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe 7 o'clock. Just, if they start at 11, we'll be pushing it. If they start at 9, we'll be fine, but I have no idea. All right, good with the 8th. Just 7 now.
Make a motion, May 7 o'clock.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, consideration of exempt session for negotiations. They should be New London districts is here. You got conference, sectional, districts.
We'll talk about it later. I just want to make sure I take the day off that they're here.
Yeah.
Hey, you got these stuff.
No, he's back in.
What?
Cheater agreement.
You made it for the whole meeting. Look at that.
Yeah, I swear to God, they didn't put it there. Yeah. Well,
What's the 13th?
We host second round of boys in 13. But you gotta remember the girls.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yep.
Girls are,
I haven't looked at the girls.
girls are on the 10th.
So they tell me that I'm hosting something. I don't.
Sorry.